Tommy Rooney, very good morning.
Shane, good morning.
Tommy, you have a tough job here. You've got big shoes to fill. I understand you sought out the permission of our fine friend Eoin Sheahan to take over the mantle.
I did. Do you want me to read our WhatsApps?
Please do. This is the GAA Power Rankings, and Tommy Rooney is taking over from Eoin Sheahan.
It's legal.
I don't know if this is, yeah.
There's a new sheriff in town. Yeah, unfortunately I can't screen record, but I said, listen, Eoin, hope all is well. The lads have been on. They're asking me to take over the Power Rankings. I said I wouldn't do it unless I spoke to you first. And he got back and he said, you're asking a man who is in an Uber to a Medland Techno Club for advice. Best of luck. There you go. So
Medina, of course.
Then he rang me from the club.
That's where Pablo Escobar was from.
Chat. I got all the secret sauce. I found out how the fig roll was made. Basically, Eoin Sheahan was making it up as he went along.
Well, I think Eoin has had plenty of secret sauce wherever he is right now, but
yeah, well, that won't be happening.
More sense than generally.
Yeah, I mean, how many days later did he reply to you, Tommy?
I got back straight away.
Oh, straight away.
Back straight away. Yeah. He wanted to pass on I think it was weighing heavy on his shoulders, the Power Rankings and kind of where he had left things. So look, I'm taking it on. I'm taking it seriously.
Yeah.
There's I'd be a bit more into the data and the analytical bits and pieces that make counties tick. So this is going to be absolutely correct. There's going to be no swaying me here, and I think we're on to a good one.
Jesus, yeah. I was going to say, well, between the Power Rankings and the crappy quiz, I'd say that added years to Eoin Sheahan's life and took away from his life expectancy. But I mean, we've passed that mantle over to you now, Tommy. I haven't looked. I don't think Nathan has either. So neither of us have. We've both opted not to look at your list.
Without looking, who do you think will be higher in the rankings, Mayo or Monaghan?
Oh, Mayo, I'd say.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Jesus, yeah, Mayo. No, that's with Oisin Mullen and Lee Keegan out the gap. So I'm intrigued to see where Monaghan are. Of course, they'll have to be, Tommy, in the top 8, given they're a Division 1 team. New management, new start, good young players coming through. Manzi committing for the year. Go on.
Before we start complaining, will we just get into it?
Go on. We'll start with, so what is it, 32 to 25?
Yeah, we're going from 32 to 25. Now, this is obviously quite a few counties in Division 4, but we'll run through it. So 32nd, Waterford. No win in Division 4 last year. No win in Munster. No win in the Tailteann Cup in 2022. They started their league with a draw versus Tip, but it just didn't improve after that. They are rooted to the bottom of the table here, unfortunately, and hopefully we'll see them move up the Power Rankings with a few more wins this year. 31, Wicklow. Intriguing move getting Oisin McConville involved. It is interesting down this side of the table, lads. Kevin O'Brien produced one of the performances of the championships last year, a hat-trick against Laois in a great win in Leinster for Wicklow. They were beaten then by Meath before they won their Tailteann Cup opener to Waterford and lost to Offaly. 30th, Wexford. New management team with John Hegarty in charge. Shane Roach stepped in after Galvin walked away. A respectable enough tenure, but football just isn't catching fire in Wexford at the minute, and they are in the bottom 3. In Carlow, Niall Carew is the boss. It feels like it's a long way off that summer of 2017 when Carlow were rising and there was a bit of a buzz around the county. To be honest, I started doing this and I was regretting my decision to even have them so high, but they had a good win in the Tailteann Cup last year, 2 strong wins, a good performance versus the winners Westmeath in the quarter-final. Went under the radar a little bit how well they did, and they have a couple of really good players there in Jordan Morrissey, who'll be the heartbeat of that team. 28, London, one of the stories of the season last year early on. A little bit like Armagh. They were the rock stars early on. They had a couple of big results. I'll be honest, I don't really know what their squad is like this year, so they're one of those counties I'm going to have to watch. But Michael Maher is back in charge and a very highly rated young manager. 27th, Laois. Sad sight seeing a team like this down so far. They've obviously lost Ross Munnelly in the winter, a legend of the game, one of the longest service players that we'd seen. Billy Sheehan is still in charge. One good sign for Laois. It can only get better from here. And they've had the Port Arlington players back, the county champions for the last 3 years. A lot of the counties down this side of the rankings can't get their best players on the pitch. So they had 4 or 5 in the mix in the Burn Cup, so that's good to see. 26th place, Longford. They were blessed last year not to be relegated. They're in Division 3. They're the lowest Division 3 side here. Paddy Christie has come in. He's combining that role with the DCU Sigerson job. I think it could be a good fit. And they've flatlined a little bit for the last 2 years, so I think they're on the way up. Number 25, Leitrim. They got the Andy Moran bounce last year. There was a real vibrancy and excitement around the county. You could see it in any of their games. They wanted to get the Croke Park in the Tailteann Cup last year. They didn't get there. Lost an epic penalty shootout to Sligo in Carrick and Shannon, which has absolutely happened. We'll see what happens. They'll be targeted in Division 4. Themselves and Sligo were unlucky last year. Cavan and Tip went straight back up. So if they can get out of Division 4 this year, you'll see them moving up the power rankings.
The only thing.
Any arguments?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think Longford will finish higher than 26th by the end of the year. I think Paddy Christie's going to do good things, and they've had a good pre-season. My only question, I suppose, on Leitrim is: are you biased? Like, will you feel a pressure to have Leitrim higher because of your links to Andy Moran? Like, is there, like, you know, Andy's going to be watching, so are you going to feel like you have to put him higher regardless of how they play?
It's Ireland, Shane. If we were to do everything here based off links and connections and people we knew and where we had relations, I'd be in big bother.
Fair point.
So, the answer is no.
There.
No, I think it's interesting. I'd be interested to see where Sligo are, because one of Sligo or Leitrim are going to end up in the All-Ireland series, and it'd be fascinating to see by the time we get to the 16 teams that are in that All-Ireland series where Leitrim and Sligo are.
24-17 then, Tommy?
Yeah, it's a very good point, and that's where we're going to start with Sligo, 24th. Right. They had a decent 2022. They played in Croker, unlucky not to get out of Division 4. This year, I think they will. Again, similar to Laois and a couple of other counties, very few players from the county champions, Turlestrane. I'm going to get this wrong, but I think it's 7 of the last 8, could be 6 of the last 7. In the panel that's been announced by Tony McEntee. Shout out to the Sligo PRO, Padraig McKeown. Like, he sent us the 38-man panel. He told us where the clubs were. He let us know who Tony McEntee had picked. Obviously, Tony McEntee gave the thumbs up, but that's great. We need a bit more of that. We need to know who the players are, where they're from, and we could do a pen picks on what makes them tick as well. We'd all love that. But I think Nathan's really right. I'm not sure how much that Connacht side of the draw is going to help those teams. Personally, I feel, look at what Westmeath did, look at the bounce they've got. Wait till you see where Westmeath are. That is what they need, a bit of a Tailteann Cup run against similar opposition, getting good competitive games, but that's an argument for another day. Sligo have Niall Murphy, which is why they are above the other teams in Division 4, one of the best players in the grade down there. So, number 23, Antrim, Andy Mackey's in charge. I might get Niles there to hurry up a little bit, because I will, if that's the case. Impressive first year for McGinley.
Well spotted.
McGinley and O'Neill. Poor last year, though, and it tailed off under the lads. So, will they get a manager bounce? I'm not sure every county can get a manager bounce, but we'll see what happens here. They were very poor against Cavan in the championship. Nearly turned Paddy Anders off football, which is saying something. 22nd for Mana. Kieran Donnelly, another one of the young managers. A lot of young managers in the mix this year, lads. There's 14 new managers, so I am not going to say that every county's getting a manager bounce. 14 new managers, 9 of them are taking over a county team for the first time. So, they're going to get a lot of new ideas, hopefully. So Kieran Donnelly's second year, it's a decent Fermanagh team. They're young. He's putting a stamp on it. They're in transition though. They stayed in Division 3 last year. They lost to Tyrone before a win and a loss in the Tailteann Cup. Offaly are 21st. I think Offaly could be in a spot of bother this year. Disappointed with them last year. To watch them live a few times. I think that the under 20 talent is there, but I still think it needs another year. Some serious quality, but there's just not enough. Liam Kearns has taken over them, so I think they're definitely going to be in the lower half of Division 3, which is a dangerous place to be. 20th place, down. Now, I want to put an asterisk here. I don't want to talk down up too much, but down are a type of county that I get excited by. I love the football of the early 90s, lads, and having Down come back means that we're going to have Cork back, and it means that we're going to have Meath back. And that is why I want, once one of them start coming back, the others will come follow suit.
Well, Derry are back as well. Yeah, it is really a 90s nostalgia. And Manchester United and Arsenal back in the Premier League. This is nostalgia central that recent weeks. Love it.
And what did Mayo do in the 90s?
Lost a few All-Ireland finals, the usual.
Lost a few All-Ireland finals. Okay,
Down.
A
few brawls.
Of all the counties in this tier, I'm most excited for the potential Down have, and it's because things have gotten so bad when they didn't have to. The wheels fell off the Paddy Tally rain. It should have been better. Year 1 was good. Year 2, COVID hit. Year 3 was just a disaster. And last year was even worse for Down. James McCartan was in. Fallouts of the players. Issues with training weekends in Dublin where there was a couple of discipline issues with drinking and stuff. It all kind of fell apart. So Conor Laverty's taken charge probably a little earlier than he would have wanted. But, Conor Laverty has been shaping himself for this job for a long time. He's been coaching for years. He's been involved in Trinity and clubs and counties in the background, quietly building up his reputation and his resume. So early days, he did very well with the down under 20s. He's combining that role, I believe. So there's a lot on his plate this year. But interestingly, he's not taking on the media duties. You won't see Conor Laverty chatting to the media. Mickey Donnelly has been doing that. He's been out in front of the McKenna Cup after McKenna Cup game. So keep an eye on Down. Their Ulster Championship openers against Donegal. I don't want to put it out there,
big one.
That's depending on where those teams meet, going up and down the hill. That's a big one. Tipperary are 19th. I think Tip football's in a bit of bother. Such a glorious win in 2020, and things just haven't clicked since then. Like many of the counties in this half of the table, they can't get the best players on the pitch. Conor Reardon furthered with the idea of staying around. He's gone back to Australia. Michael Quinnivan hasn't committed. 2 footballers to start from nearly every county in the country. Louder 18th, Samuel Roy, Mickey Hart. I wanted to have them a bit higher up, but if they can back up their big talk with performances and results, they'll be flying up the tables here. Limerick are ahead of them in 17th. Billy Lee is a loss, but maybe that was as good as it was going to get for Limerick. Ray Dempsey is in. Interesting to see how close he was to the Mayo job. They need a competitive Division 2, and if they do get that, they're going up the table. They're 17th because they got to the Munster final last year.
I like it so far. Yeah, it's hard to argue when there hasn't been much football, but so far, no arguments.
It's the easiest one of the year.
Exactly, yeah, because the rest of them will be debated hotly. 16-9, Tommy, so we have a bit of time on the top 8.
I've been watching all the preseason game, boys. That's why it's easy. I know I'm right. That is the thing. 16th, Cavan. I'm putting a lot of stock in that 2020 win. Nightmare 2021. They did all they could in 2022. The top Division 4. They ran Donegal close. They lost a tight Tailteann Cup final. And there's plenty of quality there. Another promotion in the bag. It's a dangerous year, though. Mickey Graham's there a couple of years. There was a bit of talk that there might be a change this year. There's not. So we'll see what Cavan happen. Meath, 15th. Might be lower than you might have expected, but I can't really make a case for Meath. O'Rourke is starting from a low base here in terms of the energy and the quality in the squad, and that's where it is. There'll be lots of time to argue about Meath later in the year when they fly up the rankings with a couple of wins, but I'm leaving them in 15th. 14th, Cork. If anyone listened to the football pod yet, I'm not going to blame you for not listening so far because it's only out about 36 hours, but yeah, you'd know who James O'Donoghue's team to pick for 2023 was. He said Cork. I can't get my head around it, but he has big Cork up massively for this year.
That's based on one game in the McGrath Cup?
That's based on him being a Kerry man and then begging Kerry to have a bit of competition, a bit more competition in Munster. So,
but they don't want competition in Munster now, Kerry, because the All-Ireland series means they'll get enough tough games
Nathan,
ahead of an All-Ireland quarter-final, semi-final.
Just mind games, that's all it is.
You tell me what the motivation is to have Cork so featured in his teams to watch in 2023. And do you know what? The lads called it right last year. James's team was Derry, Paddy's team was Galway. So, 13th, I thought your Gilroy would be here to be given out. Kildare, they're 13th. What have they done to be any higher? They've lost multiple Leinster finals. They've beaten Dublin and Newbridge. Grant.
Big wins against Monaghan, Dublin, Kerry in the league last year. Probably could have stayed up in Division 1, but didn't. Yeah, league. But league's important now.
League is important, but I'm just going to say league schmeeg. 12th. This is what I think about the league. The Tailteann Cup winners are 12th. Now, I obviously love the league, but the Tailteann Cup winners are 12th. There's a serious buzz. They have a new manager. They've won silverware over the last couple of years. That's what I mean by doing something. If they win Division 3, I'd back them to make a Leinster final. They're on the same side as Meath and Louth and Offaly. I think Longford.
But Tommy, you're not massively underestimating that they've won the Tailteann Cup because they were one of the lower ranked teams, and there's such a massive difference between the quality of Division 1, Division 2, that teams that have played in Division 1, Division 2 just have something in them that will always have them a step ahead. Yes, Westmeath are on the right track, but are they a better team right now than Meath?
I think they are. I think when you've seen Westmeath's performances against Kildare in the last 2 years, they've been really good. They should have beaten Kildare the last 2 years.
But they didn't.
Yeah, but they've gone and they've done something. They've won something. And you can't underestimate. Like, those lads went to Mexico together on a team holiday. You can't talk about how that bonds a team. So there you go. That's given Westmeath extra kudos, extra bonus, and I just think they've delivered. So it's a team as well that have won a couple of league titles over the years. So I'm putting Westmeath there.
Fair.
You can argue with me all you want. I know you're trying to argue with me, but there you go.
Wouldn't be like nothing at all.
11th, Clare. Couple of big retirements. The youth there is going to need a bit of time, but I think they're going to have a solid Division 2 again. James and Paddy were questioning that a little bit on the football pod, but I think there's a strong team there. 11th position. 10th. This is where it gets interesting. You can obviously see it on screen. Monaghan.
To be honest, I'm not going to argue too much. I probably have Monaghan at the moment ahead of Donegal, and that's the only other team I'd have them ahead of.
Donegal.
I think Donegal are on a downward curve. Monaghan are potentially on a less downward spiral. But I just think Donegal, with the loss of Murphy and new manager, I know Monaghan have a new manager as well. But look, remains to be seen. Monaghan could win the Ulster Championship, lads. You never know.
Oh Jesus!
We didn't have Clare on our screen, by the way. So your new adopted county is not on the graphic. So I know it's not your fault.
Tommy had to get the balance right between putting Clare high enough that he didn't insult Colm Collins, but also not high enough that Colm Collins mightn't think, well, maybe I could do with a bit of a change and get a good lad from one of the clubs in at some stage during the season.
So
brings us to the top 8, Tommy. The sexy part.
We're moving on. So we're moving past Monaghan and Roscommon.
No, he's comfortable. Monaghan are uninteresting, so move on.
For now,
Monaghan are interesting.
That's the way I want to have it.
Very worrying how long it took to get a manager. Vinnie Corey's in. Yeah, exactly. Number 8, Donegal. Donegal on paper, they are the best team in the country on paper.
What?
They are in. It's a joke. They're just, everyone has backed Donegal over the last couple of years to win games because on paper they look better than they are. They just haven't delivered under Declan Bonner. Murphy is left. Catastrophic loss. You're right, Shane. They could be in serious danger, and I do think they're in danger. They're 8 though because on paper they've got some super footballers.
Okay.
And
no one's ever won a trophy on paper. I'd like to see it happen.
7th place, Tyrone. I'm expecting them to bounce back. Last year was a blip. It was a bad year. The talent is there. I know I've got the 2021 All-Ireland champions in 7th place.
Yeah, but if you're saying it's a blip and you expect them to bounce back, how do you have them below Derry and Armagh?
I think they won an All-Ireland in 2021 out of nowhere. And I think that the other two teams are in a better position to capitalise. I think
a fluky All-Ireland, is that what you're saying?
I just think that it was Mayo's to win and Mayo's lost it. So, I just think that Tyrone, if you look at where Mayo are compared to where Tyrone are, I just think Tyrone, I'm giving them a chip on their shoulder early in the year. That's what we need. We need another contender. We'll see them come back. If the Cannibals deliver, Tyrone will be in 3rd place. But it's hard to know whether they can do it on the intercounty stage.
But have they not shown that they can do it on the intercounty stage? And that's the entire reason they should be above, like Armagh in particular.
It's just that team.
The big championship games, Armagh haven't done it. They've almost done it. They've almost got there. But Tyrone have actually done it. And their history says that, yes, they have their down years, and maybe they weren't the best team in the All-Ireland series the year they won it. Maybe some other county should have won it, but, history went against them yet again. But
they were the best team.
7th place for a team that won the All-Ireland just over a year ago, and have proven that they can win these sort of tight encounters when they're at it, when they're fully focused.
When they're at it, yeah, but it's just that team that won in 2021 had a savage level of competition in that squad. They lost 6 players. There was issues last year. I'm just not convinced that that's all been shedded, and I just need to see them in action. It was a blip, but it was an alarming enough blip last year as well.
We're running out of time, Tommy, but you might run us through the top teams.
6th, Derry. They won the Ulster title last year, but I have them down here because to get to that next level is obviously fine margins, but to get to the next level, we're going to have to see something different. Very interested to see what Gallagher does. I'd imagine he's going to target Division 2 this year. They've got the Derry title. They need to get to Division 1 to get that bit higher. And it's top level stuff here, so it is really fine margins. Mayo were 5th. I don't know whether you think I've them too high, Nathan, but semi-finalists quarterfinals last year, consistency over the last couple of years, getting a lot of stock. Sure, they had injuries last year, but they've got players back. And the players they've lost in Mullen and Keegan, they've regained in Ryan O'Donoghue, Cillian O'Connor being fit this year, and Tommy Conroy hopefully being back to the levels they were at in 2021. There's a depth there. McStay is going to bring a new style, a new flavour, some new footballers. It'll be interesting to see it. I think they're going to get it.
Converted here, Tommy. I'm excited just listening to you. I'll take 5th.
Top 4 semi-finalists for the All-Ireland. Who are they, Tommy?
Top 4. I'm putting Armagh in there, Shane. And people may...
but you see, you're Armagh 4th because you are the leader of the cult of Kieran McGeeney.
That's not true. That is not true. I am no leader of any cult, but
no leader of men.
I do love the way Armagh play football, but I also do think that they were the 4th best team in the country last year. They lost on penalties to Galway. They had delivered time after time in Division 1 of the league. They had a blip against Donegal, but that was a blip. That was a moment. That was one issue, and they fixed it all, and they destroyed Tyrone and Donegal in the qualifiers. They should have beaten Galway. I don't think Derry laid a hand on Galway. But I'm just comparing it to the Derry defeat to Galway. I think Derry looked a little limited against Galway. Armagh took charge and took over. Galway, 3rd place. Runners up last year, breakout year. The individuals they have are exceptional, and they've got Cook, Peter Cook and Ian Burke back. So when Tyrone have lost the depth, Galway have added depth. And that is why they're third, and they could very easily be first this year. Second place, Dublin. Such fine margins to that, Sean O'Shea free. They still should have beaten Kerry without Conor Callaghan. Kerry were probably a little blessed. The hunger's going to be there. They didn't even play their second team in the O'Byrne Cup. They played their third team because the first team and the second team are being dogged through an absolutely insane pre-season. They must be doing it out in Innisfields or somewhere where the Indo can't get photos of them. But the Dubs are on their way back. McCaffrey and Mannion will be flying come championship, and I think the Dubs are going to have a lot to say this year in the championship. Kerry are number 1, clean sweep in 22. They've the Cliffords, they've Jack. I do think they will have a poor league. I'm not sure how Jack O'Connor will manage this chase for back-to-backs. I have my doubts. But that is the 2023 official power rankings. Sorry for running so over time.
The best part of those power rankings was the fact that Roscommon are such an irrelevance. You didn't even mention them. They're such an irrelevance. Such an irrelevance that you didn't even mention.
I know a few Roscommon lads that would not be happy with that, but anyway.
Well, look, my mommy's from Roscommon, so I'll get in trouble here. But look, my thing about Roscommon is they're 9th, they're above Monaghan. I think that they are possibly bouncing back down to Division 2 next year. There's a bit of a yo-yo effect there. They may have peaked with what they have, and they might have to build again. Same with Monaghan, build again with some of the youth coming through for their next charge at maybe, what's the tops they're going to get? An All-Ireland semi-final?
Possibly.
It's just the way things are.
Tommy, great first episode, and I'll tell you what, that's the only episode of the year where there'll be no arguments, I would have to say. Yeah. So enjoy it while it lasts. But Tommy, great stuff. Thanks a million.
Thanks, lads. Cheers. Talk soon.